Maybe.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah. How was it doing at 6 a.m.?
Wait. I did the I signed on for the yoga as well, and I didn't realize that it was just a YouTube video, and I was like, oh.
I did the same, B. Hi guys, I did the same. I was like, where's all my friends?
Yeah, I was so ready, and then it was only like 6 minutes, and I was like, oh, okay.
It flicked onto the next one, so I did the next one. And it was all right once I started watching it, but when I first got there, I was like, oh, could I get out of bed for this video clip at 6 o'clock without my friends there?
Yeah,
I think they're designed like so that you can just do some flows early in the morning, like you can repeat it as much as you want. But yeah, I did think last night when I was just updating some stuff on Wobboard, I was like, should we have maybe put a post to say they're just videos, or that?
Yeah,
we found out.
It's nice to know you guys did them. How'd you find them?
I ended up doing like an extra yoga session because I'm subscribed to like another website that.
Oh, cool.
Yoga.
And it just sort of went in. I don't know who's it. Well, I did another one of Leah's, which I did.
Yeah.
And then it went into someone else.
Yeah. So YouTube kind of does this weird thing where it'll show you other videos. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But
so I'm like subscribed to a website called Do You Yoga.
Oh yeah.
And they're really good, and I'm like a premium member there, so I've paid for the whole year to get all the videos, and it's really like there's loads of challenges and things.
Nice. Sounds good.
I feel like I'm learning it, the yoga. It's doing and stretching. I'm actually giving all that some time.
Yeah, I did it on Saturday, and it's been a good 3 years since I've done yoga, and it was really nice to go through it again. And then I realized how inflexible and how little balance I have.
You just have to work on it.
Oh, I know.
It's that feeling afterwards, that drowsy feeling. I don't know. Me and Scarlett were like, oh God, I don't need it all opening, falling out everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, that's the yoga I used to do would be like an 8 p.m. class, so it was perfect. But yeah, it's the relaxation at the end, right? All the deep breathing and everything else that goes on with it.
Yeah.
She's asleep. The kids know. They're like, Mum, you're really like, you lay on the sofa and stuff when you do this yoga on Saturday. They know what's going on now. They're like, you're right, Mum. Although I will be laying on the sofa. I need to sleep in a minute.
The flows might be quite good for bed, I don't know. But I think it's all that deep breathing you do and just lying down and visualizing or whatever it is. I just kind of switch off. I just breathe. I'm just like, I'm going to have a nap now.
I just have to really force myself, like, keep listening, pay attention.
We'll give it a couple more minutes, guys. Hi, Karen. How are we feeling?
Okay, good.
Yeah, cool. I had a little chat with Mark about changing the timetable. We're going to try and look to do it next week, not this week, just because there was a bit of a problem with Wobboard trying to change the classes at 12 anyway, and 9 o'clock. So yeah, we're probably going to try and look to change it next week. Okay.
Change it back to like it was last week, like train.
Yeah, so it's going to go back to what it was last week, as well as maybe shifting the lunchtime one out by half hour.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, because we've got a half hour. We've got our team call this afternoon, so we'll have a little chat about it.
Mm. And then if so, you would have it at like 12:30.
Yeah, so we would kick off the lunchtime one at 12:30 instead.
So we could basically do this call and go.
Exactly.
I like that.
Oh.
Me and B don't want to miss anything.
We're
logging on yet.
We're about to launch our little senior fit. They're getting 2 Zoom classes a week now.
Oh,
it was super cute. Like there was some really good feedback. Lucy was saying like they were having a good old natter across it. Some of them obviously live on their own and stuff. So
yeah.
So it's really cool that it works. It works well for them. So fingers crossed.
They're getting better now, the old people. But when we used to FaceTime, like my auntie and stuff, would be like, "Hello, children."
My mum still. When I lived in Malta, I used to. My mum used to like Facebook video conference call me. Except for the fact my laptop, literally, her laptop was like that.
Yeah.
All I would ever see was
So
like the
sweet.
ceiling or the light, and I'm like, Mum, you know you've got a dark patch on your ceiling. You need to paint your ceiling. She learned after a little while, but she's still not great. She hates it.
They're just like so cute with it. My auntie and uncle, and then he got his banjo out to play. He was like, oh, we were crying. They're taking the mick out. I can just imagine that senior fit. The Zoom would be just the cutest thing.
Oh, I love them though. They are awesome. They are such cool. So cool.
Okay.
Right. We shall make a start, guys. So how's everyone's weekend been?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Didn't need
Karen, that doesn't look convincing.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a good weekend, but not for the right reasons. Do not at me, please.
So have we found, like, are we all kind of getting a little bit more settled now with our protein, our carbs and our fats, and a little bit more preparation and stuff like that?
Yeah, food prep. I'm so proud of my food prep.
I saw your food photo earlier. I was like, geez,
Yes.
fire.
So my sister, to help my sisters along, they send photos of everything they eat. We just do it for a bit and it kicks us off.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to miss anything. And then I looked at mine, I was like, that's pretty cool. And I've just made up all the lunch boxes with salads, and then I can add an egg or whatever I want to do with it.
Yeah.
It's there. And all the veg is there, cauliflower and leek I've got in one tub.
Nice.
But yeah, it's so easy. It makes it so easy.
Nice. B?
I'm not really prepping, because if I prep, then I don't have anything to do.
Yeah, I think you're in a very similar situation to me, right? Like, there is no need for me to prep because I have all the time in the world to cook if I need to.
Yeah, because recently I bought a slow cooker, so sometimes if I have an idea of what I want, I cook in the morning and then it's ready in the evening.
Yeah.
But I'm doing well with like actually eating some food that is like healthy.
Yeah, no,
But
nice.
this weekend wasn't that great.
Yeah.
My boyfriend was fancying a fat pizza, and I was like, "Go on then."
Yeah, I think that like it's all in moderation, right? Like, there's no point in not having a treat. If you fancy it, do it.
Yeah.
I think it's just about making sure that if you have a pizza, you don't write off the rest of the day or the weekend. Or like, if you decide at 7 a.m. that you're having a pizza at 8 p.m., don't eat like all the chocolate and all the cookies, because you know you're having pizza later. Just try and stay on track up until that point. It's kind of,
Yeah, I mean, I only had like 2 slices on Saturday.
oh wow,
Good.
Because I wasn't that hungry when we got it. And
yeah,
then I can't really eat anymore, so I ended up finishing the pizza like throughout the day.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't eat the whole thing in one go.
That's cool though. That's cool. Karen, was it just an alcohol-fueled weekend, or
A little bit, yeah. See, I was doing.
we need to get Lisa back in so it doesn't feel so bad?
Yes, and then I've got someone else to shift the blame onto. Yeah, because a lot of it was her and our friend Claire's fault, to be fair. We were doing really well. We were doing quiz night. We were drinking. That would have been fine just to have left it there. And then they got the snacks out. So I'm just watching them eat lots and lots of snacks. And then Mark decided he wanted snacks as well. So it all went pear-shaped after that.
Oh,
Yeah.
at least you tried though.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
was very trying, so it's fine.
How were you the next day though? Like, from a food perspective, were you all right, or did you just write the weekend off?
I was, yeah, I kind of wrote the next day off as well because I was absolutely shattered. We stayed up till about 2, so yeah. Yeah, I keep forgetting.
Partying late.
Oh, it's just stupid. Well, the worst thing is that as we were there, I was saying, right, I'm not staying up till really, really late with you guys. In fact, what is the time? It's like, it's 1:45. I'm really glad I'm not doing this, so therefore I'm going to bed. Yeah.
Oh, bless you. Luckily, all my friends are too boring for that.
Yeah, I'm in that boring category. If it gets past 10:30, I'm like, oh my God, I need to go to bed.
Oh, I was up till,
Like,
I don't think I went to bed until 11 last night, and I felt it this morning, like really felt it. Because I did my 1,000 burpee challenge yesterday, so I had some wine, so I stayed up a little bit later than normal. That was really tired.
I always have like Saturday girl snacks on Zoom, and we're all finished the wrong like before 12. we're in our 20s and we go to bed before 12.
You're working out hard though.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
I didn't do Saturday morning. I was like, my whole body hurts, so I'm not gonna move.
It's fair though, like listening to when you need recovery is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So today we were going to talk a little bit about kind of gut health and the start of gut health and why it's so important. So when we talk about gut health, there's actually quite a lot involved in it. It's not just kind of like your large intestines and your small intestines. So when we talk, I had to get my book out just so that I get it 100% right for you guys. But when we talk about your gut health, we're kind of talking about everything from your mouth all the way down through your esophagus, your stomach, your pancreas, your liver, and also the brain. The brain plays a big part in gut health as well. So when we talk about it, it's kind of all of those components and how we keep all of those healthy, right? They all have to work together in order for us to work really well. So the reason why I say the brain is you have a system, it's basically your hunger system. That's the first thing that fires up is your brain. It fires your brain up to tell you you're hungry, right? So your central nervous system does actually play a massive part in it. But when it comes to your nervous system, you've also got another one, which is your autonomic nervous system, the ANS. So this is basically a system that automates the regulation of all your organs, right? So the brain, yes, does do a lot of that, but this system specifically focuses on your organs. It's got two branches. It's got the SNS, which is your fight or flight instinct. You know, like when you get really nervous or something goes wrong, you've got two instincts. You're either going to fight it or you're just going to have a little run away as quick as you can. And then you've got your PNS, which is your rest, digest, and repair system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So your gut tract or your GI tract is regulated and responds to both of those systems. So it responds to your fight or flight, and it also responds to your repair and your digest. So the reason that I'm bringing these two up, have you ever found like when you're in a fight or flight instinct, you get stomach cramps? Like when you're really nervous, really anxious about something, you'll get stomach cramps. That's kind of like your instant body reaction to stress is the stomach cramping up. That's that fight or flight instinct, right? Or if you start to feel sick, that kind of stuff, it's all very closely linked to your emotional state. So if you are having quite a big emotional trauma or whatever's going on around you, your digestion massively suffers. So if you go into fight, and it's something that people with Crohn's and IBS suffer from quite a lot, you tend to get stomach cramps, you can't digest food as well, that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course, when you can't do that, you're not resting, your body's not repairing. So those two systems have a massive impact from kind of your mental health into your actual general physical health. So one of the reasons that we talk about that is external stress plays a massive part on gut behavior. It's probably one of the biggest. So if you find that you've got a lot of external stresses, whether that's environmental, social, or whatever, you'll probably find that your gut health is going to suffer drastically from it. Does anyone find that like when they're super, super stressed, they can't eat, or they eat too much, or they feel really crappy when they do eat and they just feel really lethargic?
Just eat too much, yeah, and you can see it at work. We will go into the breakout if something really bad's happened, or it's a crazy day. We'll go in and we will literally don't even know we're eating. It's like, and when you were saying about the stomach flipping over, I was putting myself in that, so I can take myself into that and feel my stomach go.
Yeah,
which is a good thing to do because then I know what's happening when it's happening. So what are we doing when we're emotionally eating?
So some of it is emotionally eating tends to usually true emotional eating. So we fully emotionally eat is when we're under a massive stressor, right? So when we talk in reference to kind of gut health, the stressor is for emotional eating is normally the stomach is unsettled, or it's sending signals to your brain that you're hungry because the stomach's working overtime. Not when I say stomach, I don't just mean stomach, I mean the whole of your gut, right? So it's normally a sign that it's just working overtime. It doesn't know what to do, and it's prepping for that fight or flight. Flight tends to mean that you don't eat as much because you're trying to avoid absolutely everything. And one of the things that tend to happen, you know, when you get butterflies in your stomach, that's also kind of a natural body reaction to stress or fear, and it is the gut system and the PNS and the SNS kind of priming themselves. So butterflies tend to be that empty stomach feeling where you can't control it and your stomach's starting to do those kind of little circles. And again, it's not always stress that kicks it off, it's an emotional state, right? So it could be like super happiness, like you're really looking forward to something, but you're still quite nervous about it for whatever reason. Does that make sense? Yeah. So one of the reasons that I just wanted to bring this up is it's really important to take cues from how you emotionally feel when you eat, right? It has a huge impact on what happens to the body and how the body's working, particularly the gut. So if I go back to kind of like, if you go back to some of the chronic things that you suffer from, so Crohn's is a great example. The whole of your intestine tract goes into overdrive, right? It's almost trying to fight itself. So when you add in additional stresses to that, nothing really relaxes. So it's working overtime, which leads to constipation, cramping, all that kind of stuff. Or it gets to the point where it's worked that much overtime that you just can't take anything in anymore. So then you start to feel like diarrhea, vomiting, all that kind of stuff. So these emotional traits kind of have an extreme towards how that works. Does anyone ever find that when they're super stressed, like literally their appetite's either through the roof, rock bottom, or they just feel like crap? Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons as well with women why we're so, when it comes to kind of like that time of the month as well for women, that's why we tend to suffer more with cramps. Different foods, obviously you lack in certain nutrients as well. But from a food perspective as well and how your stomach feels, your hormones are all over the place to a degree. So you may be more anxious, you may be more stressed than normal, and that imbalance kicks off gut health too, right? Does that make it? That's probably a little bit, sorry for the guys.
Yeah, I mean, can you go deeper? So I suppose you could with somebody, but is that mental or physical? I don't know, or the two. So when I'm excited, so you said about the two, the stomach flipping over and you can't eat. I get that when I'm nervous, excited.
Yep.
When I am in fight mode, rarely go in flight. When I'm in fight mode, I eat and I don't even know I'm eating, sort of pushing it down. So is that a therapy type?
Yeah. So that's you're overcompensating by kind of focusing on something else and eating, if that makes sense. So one of the best ways for a healthier gut starts kind of mentally. So when you know you're in that fight mode and you recognize you're in that fight mode and you are just eating, is just simple things like taking 5 minutes to breathe, like the yoga thing, do the yoga breathing, breathing in through the stomach, just taking like 5 minutes just to identify what's happened and chill out on it. That's one of the best ways to do it. There's also other ways to tell if it's going to happen, right? So when we eat, like your jaw, your saliva glands, when you're hungry, you tend to have a little bit more saliva because the brain's prepping you to say you're going to eat, you need saliva to digest your food. So when you go into one of these fight or flight modes, what you tend to find is that happens as well. So you may find that you get not a dry mouth, but you get kind of like that buildup of saliva and the glands start to flare up a little bit. That's another example of it happening before you realize it does, because the brain's prepping, right? It's prepping that it's going to eat because you're stressed and something's come up and that's what you're going to do. Does that make sense? Quite unique for everyone, but overall that tends to be some of the traits that we follow for it.
Let go.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So one of the first things I just wanted to cover today is really that we have these two systems, and we don't necessarily have full control over these systems, right? They're very emotionally triggered, but they are super important to the start of gut health. And it's the start of being aware emotionally of what's going on around you, because they will fire it up without you even realizing. And as I said, the brain does kick a lot of that off when your hunger system initiates something. But again, that same system may initiate through fear, anxiety, anger. Anger is another great one, right? If you're really angry, when I get really angry, that's one of the things that happens to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions on it? I didn't want to go into too much today because we are going to go over it again, but we're going to add to it every day. I just don't want I don't want to overcomplicate it for people and kind of throw too much information at everyone.
No, it's really interesting. So I can just listen. So it's another way of listening to my body. So when I feel it coming, I can be like, okay, I know what's happening now. So whether it's at work or whether it's at home, or even if it's an excited one, like, I don't know, the doctor's asked me out on a date. Something like that.
Yes.
Then I stop. So as soon as that happens, I actually stop eating with the excited ones.
Yeah.
But everything I do is goes back to the eating.
Yeah, it's always, and it's usually always an emotional reaction, right? It's very rarely a physical reaction. So one of the best things to do, and the reason that I bring them up is just so that you can recognize what happens and when it happens. Because the other thing is, right, if you go into eating but you've just had dinner but something exciting's happened, you probably already know that you're not actually hungry, right? It's just a trigger that's going on. So it's a different way to deal with it, and knowing how the systems work is a really great way to understand how to control what you're eating, how much you're eating. Are you actually hungry? Aren't you hungry? It's just about mentally recognizing it. Everything we do with food in this day and age tends to be an emotional response. It's not quite a physical need like it was tens of thousands of years ago in the caveman times, right?
So interesting, isn't it? It's so true. So interesting.
Yeah, so like if you think tens of thousands of years ago, we hunted our food, we gathered our berries and did all of that, and you ate as and when you could get hold of it, right? It wasn't necessarily, there wasn't such a big variety, it wasn't readily available, so the body stored it in a different way. But we as humans haven't necessarily changed in tens of thousands of years, and our digestive system definitely hasn't. But our environment and everything that impacts us has changed around us. So everything becomes more of an emotional connection to things of what's going on around you, stresses, the environment, social behavior as well, like what everyone else is doing around you, that has a massive impact too. So it's just really important to understand how that gut system works in order to start addressing certain behaviors. I love it. We've got a little unicorn. Amazing.
Sorry.
Definitely need more unicorns on our calls.
She wants to go, she's just got it and she wants to go to bed and have a rest because she's been asked for a nighttime eye mask for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, bless her.
She's actually been wearing sunglasses with cotton wool behind them.
Oh my God.
You're like, time for a mask.
Seriously, I've had to go in the nighttime and take her sunglasses off and earmuffs as well. She gets her winter earmuffs on. It's just not all there.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Does that make a little bit of sense when we talked about like everything that's connected into the gut? So we're talking your mouth all the way through your saliva glands, your jaw. The other thing, and this is just something really, really random, we hold all our tension in our jaw. So when we're tense as well, we hold it in our jaw, and that has a deep impact on what's going on with our gut system. Yeah, exactly. But he's just like, yeah.
Oh, you can feel it as soon as she says it, like, oh yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things is just a couple of little bits that I picked up over time is if you were to, like, with your bottom jaw, try and do like a circle round, and you find jagged spots, like if you go as slow as you can, normally a sign that you're holding some tension in the jaw because you want it to try and be nice and smooth all the way around. And the other really
smooth mine.
the other thing to do, if you do find you get that bit of tension, it sounds really silly, but if you stick your tongue out and literally press your jaw up with your hands and hold it for 30 seconds, it helps release. So you literally bite down on your tongue and press up. It will help release tension. You're not going to bite your tongue off because you've still got feelings and senses in it. But if you press up, release it after 30 seconds, it actually releases a little bit of tension in the jaw.
Oh, it just feels like, yeah, it feels like all the tension's there now. You said it.
Sorry.
But when you get toothache, isn't it? When you've had a trauma.
Yeah. Like stress is massively held in our jaw and in our necks. Like it's huge. But again, if you can release some of that kind of helps release some of the stress and the strain that you have around your digestion and your gut as well. Because obviously the gut is one of the most important things we do. Without it, you can't take on any nutrients. You can't take on all of the vitamins and minerals the body needs. You can't absorb your protein. Like you basically, without your whole gut digestive system, you are not going to be able to get everything that the body needs to work properly. Again, it's responsible for, because you take on so many nutrients, it's responsible for repairing the body as well. So it's really, the brain is super important, but these organs all work kind of without the brain having to tell them. They're regulated by a slightly different, obviously it's still part of the brain, but a slightly different system. So it is really important to try and keep that stress down, and just focus on as much as you can keeping a nice healthy gut. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
You guys got any questions?
So when I do my exercise, it stops me eating or binge eating or doing anything, which is why sometimes in the past I've come to the gym twice a day, because otherwise I'll be sat at home eating for an hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is that because it releases the stress?
Yeah.
What does exercise do to the body? Is that literally just because it reduces your stress levels?
Yeah, so it reduces the stress levels, it releases the feel-good hormones, right? So you can't get into that kind of, your body physically can't get into that like massive anxious state. The brain's thinking of other things to do, so it's not necessarily going to pick up signals that you're hungry, unless you're at that true like, oh my god, I'm really, really like beyond hungry point. Which it's quite hard to get to that in exercise. You've got to be doing it for quite a sustained long period of time. So part of it is a feel good, right? It makes the body feel more relaxed. Like, yes, you're doing tons of stuff, so you would think there's tension, but as a whole, your body relaxes more. Your brain's not focusing on stuff. You're not going to get that anxiety and that stress. And it's going to help you the body just regulate as it needs to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a healthy fight or flight.
Yeah.
A healthy emotional state.
Yeah.
We need to try and find a way to get into that healthy emotional state.
Yeah, so there's
on my own.
So there's tons of different ways to do that. One that I have, sounds really stupid, if you want to associate your exercise with a specific state of mind, is associating a very unique smell to that specific state of mind. So after you've exercised, you've got all the endorphins running around, you're feeling really good. I've got a specific, actually, hold on, it's right here. This is my specific little smell. There's no other candle in the house that smells like this. And literally, I use it before comps now if I'm nervous or anxious. But if you associate that feeling with that smell and smell it, visualize and think about how you actually feel, do it for like 5-6 minutes. And then when you get to that point where you feel quite nervous, so this is something I did for comp prep years ago, because I'm terrible at competitions. It's literally like pull it out, give it a smell, close your eyes, and you'll reassociate yourself with that feeling that you had before. Because I don't know if anyone's ever had this, like like my best childhood memories are at my German gran and my gran's house. And they had a very specific smell, both of them. Like it's almost like lavender talcum powder is what I would describe it as. And occasionally when that smell comes back, it takes me back to that memory of being at their house. It's exactly the same thing. You're just kind of creating your own memory around it. But you want to use something that's quite unique, right? You don't want like run-of-the-mill coffee, because you'll smell that a lot. and it just kind of defeats the point of it. But if you can associate it with something quite unique, it's a really good way to do it.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. I'll do that.
Yeah, it was just something that I when I used to do competitions, I used to get myself really stressed out before, like in warm up and stuff like that. And I, like before, like 3, 2, 1 would go for the start of a workout, I would literally just be like, I can't do this. Why am I here? From a couple of bad experiences previously, and I spent about 4 months doing it. And literally, I don't necessarily rely on it anymore. But if I can feel that anxiousness, I kind of just close my eyes and visualize it now. But before, the smell really made a massive difference to that. It's a really good way to do it. And the other one is, when you do it, associate with like a catchphrase, like words you would use, like, and you can tell yourself that catchphrase over time, and it will help as well. Slightly off key to nutrition, but still semi-linked. But it's just another great way to help find that balance point and that kind of feel good point, because again, everything for nutrition is pretty much emotionally linked these days, apart from the science and, you know, the protein, carbs, and how your gut works, but everything else is very mentally, emotionally linked together.
And that's what I've discovered. This lockdown situation has forced me to discover it. It's not because I'm out and about or I'm busy or I didn't manage to grab what I wanted or because I'm cooking for the kids. Wasn't actually any of those things. It was literally, like you say, what emotion it is making it happen.
Yeah. And the thing is, we're very good at keeping ourselves busy, right? Before lockdown, even lockdown, we're very good at keeping ourselves busy with the non-important things, because we're worried how addressing those things might impact us. So again, it all comes down to an emotional state, right? Why do we eat the way we do, prep the way we do, react the way we do? It's usually because of people around us, the environment that we're in, everything that's going on. So when you can strip some of that back, it's actually quite easy to uncover more and work through it. Or be unicorn for a nap.
She's already been for several naps, but Daddy won't.
Oh, that's mean.
We'll smack Daddy's bottom in a minute.
Guys, do any of you have any questions? There's nothing really for us to work on, guys. Just have a little think about what I've shared with you. And if you find, like, one of the things to do when you feel hungry, or if you get stressed or anxious, just take a little note of it and just think for like 5 minutes what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and see whether or not you can kind of come back to a calmer state where you can either get rid of that fight or flight, you know, stomach and not kind of feeling, if you get it. Hopefully not too many people do. But if it happens, just have a think about it. Yeah? Cool. We'll have a little bit more of a chat tomorrow about how the intestines work and all of that stuff and how it's all linked together. So we'll do a little bit more of a biology session. But I just wanted to kind of kick off with the basics of our food, nervous systems, because they're quite important. Cool. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I will let you go. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Jen. That was interesting.
No worries. I'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye. See you later, girls.
Bye.